Hello everyone, welcome to Operations Management Unit number 9. Unit number 9, we'll be talking about MRP, which stands for Material Resource Planning, and ERP, which is the Enterprise Resource Planning. So this unit is not too exciting, but let's go down with it. So when we're talking about the Material Requirement Planning, or the MRP, we need to understand that companies have to deal with a lot of supplies. And for that matter, we need to understand what is the inventory that we have on hand, if we have any. Well, first of all, we need to understand, based on the demand, how much we need to produce. So, in general, we can forecast the demand, and that's ideal. However, sometimes due to variations, we may have to increase our production, and that goes again to the material requirement planning. Sometimes happens that because of marketing or because of a certain trend, we see an increase of sales that we're not prepared for that. So we need to develop strategies, sometimes reactive strategies, to cope with that demand. Okay. Like I said, we always have a forecast based on previous years, based on previous periods or similar periods, because we cannot expect, let's say, for example, if we are a toy manufacturing company. When we're a toy manufacturing company, we expect that during Christmas periods we will have larger demand. So perhaps in the months in advance, we had to plan that we need to plan the production, right? Sometimes also we cannot cope with the demand because of certain reasons that are unexpected. Here, let me give you the case of Lego. The Lego and the Star Wars product. Lego didn't foresee that the numbers of toys that will be demanded in this case were going to be so fantastic, especially when it came one of the episode 1, if I'm not wrong. They realized that the orders were exponential. They couldn't cope with the demand. It was way too more than they expected. And then the problem is that sometimes with the high demand comes a single opportunity. That means you missed it, and then we cannot say, okay, let's produce more and then we sell next year. Maybe next year is not going to be in fashion anymore. There's no demand anymore. So this creates a problem. We always need to be aware of that. Okay. Here, for example, when we're talking about the material requirement planning, we can talk about, for example, here Rolls-Royce. I want you to look at this example. It says why Rolls-Royce cars are so expensive. Here, it's a state-of-the-art material planning, because we can understand that those are custom-made cars. So while there are not many areas of the car that are very similar, there's many things that need to be planned in advance. So this creates a lot of logistical problems, a lot of planning problems, and of course, I mean, in this case, they are made to order. So definitely, we don't have any excess or wastage. However, we have to fulfill the demand as quickly as possible. Right? They have an order period, and they have to fulfill that order within that time. So, when we are talking about the inventory, we need to consider the following one. So first of all, the master production schedule, which is, in this case, for example, for the car or for the Lego, how many units we need to produce by what time. And this can be based on maybe, for example, the distribution or the sales. Maybe we need to launch a product and have it ready by a certain time. So how many units and when we need to produce it and when it needs to be on the shelves ready, right? We need to the specifications or bill of material in order to produce this car or in order to produce this Lego. how many, let's say how many tons of plastic we need to produce, which colors we need to produce, which which molds we need in order to produce it. So having all that in consideration, that makes us well, have a bill of material. So list all the materials that needs to be done in order to produce that Lego, right? We look at the inventory availability, what we had in advance. Maybe that is one of the biggest benefits of, for example, Lego, which is it's just blocks. And it could be very similar from another, let's say Ninjago, which is another product for them. No, so maybe they have inventory available from some similar blocks, similar colors from other products that perhaps were not a good seller, or perhaps that they overproduced and they were not in demand. No, so in this case, they can use them and work based on that, and then of course that will work to of course have the master production schedule faster than reproducing all the colors again, well, asking for the colors, the plastic, the production, etc. Right? We need to understand also the purchase orders outstanding. In this case, what is on order, right? Because nowadays, because of ERP, we have a much better connection with the distributors, with the sellers. Let's say, for example, Walmart. They have a good connection with us, with our system, and then they have orders. They place orders based on their demand. So they vary the demand, and of course for us it's better, well, for Lego it's better to know in advance what they need to produce so that they can have it on time. And then of course we need to consider also the lead time, so how long it takes to get the various components. So in this case, how long we take to get the plastic components, the color components, if we need to prepare the machines, all the molds, how long it takes to get that ready. Okay. This unit is very technical because in the end, I mean, many of these things are mostly dealt by the engineers of the manufacturing. They are the ones. But for us as business managers, we need to understand we are the ones that sign in the end. As business managers, the ones that sign the orders and all the requisitions and stuff, we need to sign them and approve them. And of course, if we don't know what materials are necessary, how much we need to pay for them, how long they will take to come in, if we don't know that, we can delay a whole production, right? In the end, the authorization comes from us. So if this thing is not authorized on time by us, the problem will be us. Why we don't have this material or this product ready on time? Because the manager didn't authorize it, and that comes to us, not to the engineers. So anyways, in this case, here we have, for example, the master production schedule. So here we have the aggregate plan. We talked about that on the previous unit, which is the periods that we have, how many we produce, and which months we have to produce more or less, depending, and level the production. So in this case, for example, when we're talking about Lego, there might be months that are very, very low, maybe because the demand of toys is low. We can say, for example, in January and February is bad months for them. But summer when kids are on holidays and when Christmas, then of course the demand much higher. So January, February, we may produce in advance for those months. Problem again with the master production is again inventory. Can we hold that inventory for, let's say, 8 months in order to fill that until November, December? So we need to think of that. Okay. This one again, these ones are very technical areas. I don't want to go into depth in them, so I'm just going to go very quickly. Again, the bill of material is just a list of all the materials that we need to produce something. The modular bills, we just organize the material by maybe their shapes, or maybe, let's say, for example, in this case, a modular bill could be just the colors, no? A blue, a purple, a red. That's it for those bricks, and that's it. Then we have planning bills or kits. In this case, we have material groupings created to assign an artificial parent bill of material called pseudo bills. So in this case, for example, we think of groupings that we can do in advance or order in advance based on what will be coming, based on what we will be producing. We also have phantom bills of material, which is also created for the sake of understanding our cost, our projected cost, our projected production. We have the low-level coding. So in this case, we have, for the different materials that we use, we wouldn't say color black. We will have a coding for that plastic, for that color, for that paint, and then of course that goes together with the classification of the different materials and codes and so on. And then of course the lead time, like I said, how much it takes to set up, to order the material, to set up the machine, to do the production, and to have the final outcome. Okay, so we have the gross material requirement plan, which is in general the total demand of an item, right? How much material we have in general, and when it must be requested, when it will be supplied, by whom, etc. When we're talking about the gross material, we need to understand that there's also wastage. So that's the difference between the gross and the net material requirement, because we always order a little bit more in case there's material or pieces that are not working well, or there's any wastage or so the net material may be different. So in this case, let's say for example we order one let's say 2 tons of X material. Why? Because maybe we know that 1.8 ton is what we really use, but that 0.2 is for the effective products. We have some extra because if we delay that material, well, I mean, how to say, we have some mistakes and we want to order that plastic or that color again, it will take another 2 weeks, and that delays the whole production. So it's better to have some extra more in order to cover up for those mistakes. Okay. So in the end, we have the planned order receipt, which is the quantity planned to be received at a future date. So in this case, we plan when it will be received and also when it will be released, right? Also when the master production is done, and then of course we can deliver. So here we have here the, well, how everything comes together, right? We categorize what materials we need, how long it takes, what inventory we have, and the purchasing data. Then all comes together with a master production schedule. Everything comes together, and then of course we have reports. The reports are very critical because by the end of the production time, we will assess whether our productivity was on time, was correct, whether we don't have any excess of materials, etc. So those output reports are very, very important because they will measure our production effectiveness. Okay. So here we have also in terms of the MRP management. Let's talk about them. So first of all, we talk about the system nervousness, which is frequent changes in an MRP system. System nervousness should not happen. Of course, we understand that the demand and the supply change, but the more organized we have the system, the production system, the less changes should be affecting our production. So we also have time fences, which is allowing a segment of the master scale to be designated as not to be rescheduled. So in this case, there are certain periods that should not be rescheduled. They should be always managed on time. And that again goes together with the system nervousness. If we have a robust system, we shouldn't experience it this much. Then we have the pegging. So in this case, we have when we are producing a whole component, we understand that there's modules of it. So we need to understand if one module needs to be finished first and then comes the other one. And that also comes with the pegging, which is tracing the upward bill of material of the component. So this one, do we have already all the materials for this one? When is it going to be produced? Once it finished produced, then we can start to produce the next one. Okay. And then we have the buckets, which is time units in a material requirement planning system. So in this case, we measure just the time, right? Simple as that. Okay. So we have the lot sizing. In the lot sizing, we're talking about how big is the lot size in terms of the material that we're going to be using. For this one, we have the lot for lot, which is a technique that is, rather than ordering more, we just need what is required. We don't have any additional or extras. And then also we have the periodic order quantity. Whenever we have a more consistent demand that seldom changes, then we just do it periodically. Every month comes exactly the same thing. So it's a very different one. Also, we're going to take a decision on whether we just we do a more just in time, and we get what we need when we need it, or we just get it periodically. Okay. This one, we have the lot for lot is based on we don't hold much inventory. Based on organizationally, we're very effective. We're a very lean organization. Okay, very good. So we have here the extensions, right? We have a materials requirement is a software, right? In this case, we have a closed loop MRP system. So this one is more of the internal part of it. We provide feedback to capacity plan, because in this case, we see what's happening in each part of the process, right? And then, of course, we have the load report, which is a report for showing the resource requirement in a work center for all work currently assigned, right? So in this case, we look at resource requirement center, and when, of course, this one goes together with the fulfillment and the purchasing. We have to let know other departments when they have to get the materials and so. Okay, very good. So here we have some different areas. We have different processes for production. So here, this is depending on how we laid out our machinery. Sometimes we can do it, sometimes we cannot do it. Let's say, for example, we have sometimes overlapping. So let me see if I can draw it for you. Yes, I can. So here we have the overlapping. Overlapping is we have one module, and then before we finish, we already start to the production, because it's this list. Let's say, for example, in this part of the machinery, we already finished, and then, okay, this is one segment, finish, and when we already can start the production of the next one, okay, before it's completely finished, because this part of the machine is already free, you know. We have the operation splitting, which is, in this case, let's say we have only one line of production, okay, but then we could have 2 lines of production, and then this happens when it's come the operation splitting. So in this case, some things can be produced in this line, some things can be produced in that line, okay. So, and this is the same thing with the order splitting. So the same thing, maybe we can, when we have a single machinery, maybe in this sector we can produce more, in this sector we can produce more, this sector we can produce it later. So it's more of maybe increasing capacity in later modules or so. Simple as that. Okay, very good. So now let's talk about ERP. Okay, so in ERP, pretty much now MRP and ERP is linked together. Okay, so here I want you to watch this video of what is ERP. I think this company really puts it in a very easy way, and I just want you to watch it, because in the end, nowadays a software of ERP is very advanced. Checks the production, the delivery, the logistics, and it's pretty much a one one solution for all. So it's a very good tool that nowadays is used in companies, because we can know internally what's going on, we know externally what's going on, and then it allows us to have plenty of information flowing back and forth. The more information that we have, the less mistakes we have. Remember, I was telling you about just now how we have to order some extra in terms of mistakes or so. With ERP happens much lesser, because we connect all the data throughout all the departments, and we know really what is going on throughout the whole company. Okay, so anyways, so in this case, like I said, look at here, we have, for example, how the ERP and the ERP manages absolutely everything. Because here we have, I'm going to use this one. Here we have, for example, the demand, the consumers, what they want, when they want it, how they need it. We have finance, which goes together with this one. Okay. Well, actually, it's everything. It's a cycle. We can not just exclude one from the other, because in this case, for example, if I need the supplies, I need to ask finance whether I have whether I have money for purchasing what and when, because maybe here goes together with the demand. If I haven't sold my products, then I don't have money here. So then I cannot buy the supplies, or maybe I have to buy them on credit. So based on all of this one, we see how the finances affect our ordering. The demand affects our ordering. And also the materials affect our ordering. So in this case, like I said, when the consumer wants to order, when he wants it, and that means together the purchasing and the lead times. The inventory management, do I have the money? When can I purchase it? Right? And etc. So everything comes together. Everything is connected. So, very good. Here you can see the example, right? Now in this case, we have one of the most comprehensive softwares of MRP and ERP is SAP. SAP is one of the leading ones which have modules. So companies decide what modules, or what, let's put it in a simple way, which parts of the softwares they want. Maybe they want just maybe for the production, maybe they want for finance, or maybe they want everything. Here companies decide how much information they want to flow back and forth. Okay, so in this case, when, let's say for example, our company just wants to deal with the human resources, so we just get the module of the human resources and that's it. But if we want to link the production with the HR, with the finance, then we will have all the modules. Okay, so very good. So that's it for this unit. It's not a very interesting unit, but hopefully it is useful for you. If you have any more questions, please let me know.